There's something about the start of a new year that just makes me instantly want to refresh my planning routine, and I've done just that for my 2024 planning system. Now, as you're gonna see, I use a variety of different tools in my planning toolkit to make sure that I'm staying productive and focused on the things I want to get done. And these tools both exist in the more tech world and then in the more traditional planning pen and paper world. So we're gonna get to all of them today. But as much as I am a type A person, I love my planning tools and sticking to a schedule, I also like giving some flexibility within these systems so that I can gravitate towards some or others depending on what projects I'm working on, maybe what season of the year I'm in, how my mood is feeling that day. So I'm particularly excited about today's video because I think there's something in here for everyone. Maybe you'll discover something new, who knows? The chances are high though, so stay tuned. I think the most natural place to begin with this is with the tool that I've been using the longest, which is a month at a glance calendar. I've gone through seasons where I do this in a more traditional paper pen planner system, but even when I have those systems, I'm always using a digital calendar because a digital calendar is so convenient. I can always access it on my phone. No matter where I am, it's so easy to update when you're meeting people and you're like trying to schedule things. It's all right here. Here's a look at what my blank schedule looks like for a random week in February. I already have some pre-scheduled events that I have just automatically go into my weekly schedule each week. Now, this is a calendar I use for both a personal me and a work version me, so personal and work life. And the way I kind of keep that organized is through this section over here, the My Calendars. I have a different calendar for each kind of category of tasks that I would put in my calendar. Batchwork activities are more of the work stuff that like is pretty repetitive that I want to do in big chunks, whether it's weekly or monthly. There's a personal tab. I even have something for novel releases so I can keep track of when my favorite books are coming out. Not only does this kind of method help me make sure that I can visually quickly see what category of task I have coming up, but if I want to look at my calendar without any of my personal tasks, I can easily take that out and then I'm just looking at the work stuff. But if I want to add that back in, I can add it back in. Or if I just want to take out the work stuff, I can do that with just like a few clicks. You really like making aesthetically pleasing calendars. One of my favorite tips is to customize the colors of these calendars. Go onto Pinterest and look up for aesthetic color palettes and get the hex codes for them, and you can just make your calendar in a colorway that speaks to your soul. I did this like not too long ago, a refresh of my colors, so I think I'm gonna hold off for a little bit. One of the new calendars I added into my digital calendar for 2024 is this goals calendar. In my goal setting video, I talked about how I am not making 2024 goals this year because I just recently read the book, The 12-Week Year, and one of the things he suggests when it comes to time management are these really specific goal related time chunks to put into your schedule. So the first one he recommends is a strategic block. This is typically a block that should last about 3 hours, scheduled in about once per week and typically towards the beginning of the week. So I'm just going to use this as an example. I'll put this in on Tuesday from 10 to 1. Put this in the goal section. In this block is when you're supposed to be working on your business, not in it, meaning not like the day-to-day tasks that you just need to get done. This is for more of the long-term projects that you're working towards. I think this alone is going to be huge because I always get caught up in the day-to-day. So whether you're thinking of this from a business perspective or a personal goal perspective, having a chunk of time where you're like, we're not dealing with the present, we're kind of talking about the future or working on the future, I think that's amazing. And bringing some intentionality to my calendar with this could be huge. You know, I say could be because I still have to try it out. Also recommends buffer blocks for the low-level activities like emails, in my case like scheduling posts that have to go live, like anything that's kind of repetitive in your day-to-day working life. I think everyone is notoriously guilty of getting distracted by pinging emails or pinging text messages that derail us from our main task, and then it's really hard to stay focused on other things because you just keep going back and forth between your inbox and what you're working on. So these are meant to be 30 minutes to an hour, 1 to 2 times a day. He recommends like a morning and an afternoon session. There's also a block he recommends called the breakout block, but I'm not going to schedule that in because I don't think it's as applicable to my weekly schedule. Leading with my goal planning tasks is definitely a new approach for me in 2024. Usually I put in all the other things and then address the goal stuff that that I have to do, but that often leads to my goal tasks being swept off my schedule because other things distract me. So especially with this strategic block, I really want to guard it wherever it ends up in my week, but I just really want to protect it as much as possible because I think this is such an important aspect to me feeling like I'm making progress on things that I want to get done. This block is going to move around week to week depending on my schedule, but this is kind of the blank template for where I can then schedule my work stuff. Maybe there's a filming day here, maybe I have a video due here, a dinner here. I'm such a believer in trying to batch work tasks as much as possible. It's a strategy that really helped me when I was a student and was juggling 5 different classes and then also content creating. Like especially when it comes to classwork, if you are doing work for all 5 of your classes or all 4 of your classes, however your schedule looks, it's hard to go between class to class every single day and like really get into a flow state. But if you're doing like all your work for class A on Monday and all your work for class B on Tuesday, it allows you to really get into a flow with that work because that's all you're focusing on. That's all your responsibility is for. I think a big part of staying focused is to kind of minimize your to-do list, not add to it. Because if it gets too lengthy, too complicated, then it's really hard to, like I said, get in the flow. After my monthly calendar, the next tool that I really rely on is Notion. I'm gonna try not to get too much into my work planning because I know that's not really applicable to everyone when it comes to like content creating. I'll kind of dabble into my personal one. So this is my 2024 personal dashboard. I always have a personal and a work dashboard. And if you watched my Notion setup video, this is still pretty similar to how I had it in 2023. All of my goal setting, my big and my small goals are going in this database right here. I've covered a few that I have going already here just for privacy reasons. I love that I can change the status of the goals. I can easily see where my progress is. So you can say like in progress, done. I can set a deadline. You can add like a ton of different custom things to every goal if you want like some extra notes. But what I find really cool about setting up my goals in a database like this is that if I add a new goal, say my goal is to read 52 books in progress because I've already started reading this year. My deadline is December 31st, 2024. And then I can open this and it creates a whole new page just about this goal. So in here, I could create a separate page for my 2024 TBR. So I can have book title here, author, and some notes. For example, one of the books that I want to read this year is The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, and this is a non-fiction. And if I found like a TikTok about it or a YouTube video about it, I can include that link in the notes. I keep track if I read it by clicking the check mark. And then even afterwards, I can add my reading notes if I have any to this page that opens up specifically for The Artist's Way. And all this information is already filled in here. So that's what makes databases so great with Notion, is that there's just like extra layers of organizing everything. But if I scroll down here on my personal database, I also have like this fun image from Pinterest, a little quote here. And I have some links to some of my other most used pages. Again, from my last Notion video, like you can kind of get some more information about these. I will say, I've really been loving my life management manual. As you can see, I have categories like physical health, mental health, financial health, travel, holidays, other. One area I really love is this physical health section. So anytime I go to the dentist, or I go to the doctor, or I go to my eye doctor, or I get sick, or I have an irregularness in my cycle, I can keep track of this information. I can keep track of notes of conversations I've had with my doctors, and it's all in one place. It's not like left to me to remember because I forget things so easily, and I just love like that I've documented things. All of my investing notes I keep in my investing section so that I don't have to be scrambling for them. Travel plans, so things like packing lists. The holidays is another area that like I use all the time. So during Christmas, obviously for budgeting and for keeping track of gift ideas and gifts that I ended up purchasing. All of that is in my Christmas section. All of the birthdays for people in my life are there. And then not only is their birthday there, but then I also keep record if I bought them a birthday gift, what I got them, what I spent, all that stuff. And the wedding section is really coming in handy because the weddings have been escalating in my life. But this life management manual has been so helpful I really do need to work on making this into a template. For the amount that I use Notion, I don't make nearly enough content about it. So if there's specific questions that you have about Notion or things that you'd like to see me talk about, show more detailed on how I use it, how I set things up, let me know in the comment section. We're shifting on over to my iPad, and this is really the first time that I'm going to be using my iPad for planning purposes. I've used it so much for note-taking with Goodnotes. I've used it so much for creating doodles on my content, like here, my handwriting is on the screen because I did this on Procreate. Goodnotes is like Notion in that there are a lot of templates that you can find for free on the internet, but lots of them that you can find for purchase on Etsy. So I went onto Etsy and found a planner that I just really loved, a planner template. I'll have it linked in the description box below. It's not expensive at all. I think I paid less than $2, but it's so aesthetically pleasing. So this is what the index of the planner looks like, kind of the table of contents. The great part about a template is that if you buy one with hyperlinks that have been set up, when you are in reader view with Goodnotes, you can click to different parts of your planner really easily. So I'm gonna go to January, and this takes me to the month at a glance spread. But if I wanna go to the dailies, I can click January, let's pick a date, 23rd. And oop, we see the daily view for January 23rd. So if you are someone who really likes a daily schedule, here's a daily layout for you. And then when we go out of reader view, I can take my stylus and schedule in more of the detailed tasks for the day that aren't in my Google Calendar. Google Calendar is more for the bulk, you know, filming, editing, short form filming, like they're big chunks. They don't really get into the details of what does that mean within those chunks. So that's where like a planner or some sort of list would come in handy. So I can say create outline. Me though, I'm probably not going to be using these dailies. I'm going to use things like the monthly reflection. So at the end of the month, I love how this spread is laid out to really reflect back on the last 30 something days. There's a section for me to write the accomplishments. What did I do well? What are the biggest lessons? What am I grateful for? What's the hardest thing about this month? What do I need to improve on? Like, I think taking moments to kind of regularly check in is so great. So I love that that's kind of already set up for me. But also I think the week at a glance view is probably more in line with what I would want, because like I said, I don't have like gigantic to-do lists. So I don't need like a ton of space, but this really easily allows me at the beginning of the week to just say, oh, this little task I might want to do on this day. There are two reasons why I really like the idea of doing this on Goodnotes versus with like maybe a traditional paper planner. One is the fact that I can use my stylus, so it keeps me improving my handwriting on a tablet, because I feel like I don't do it often enough, so it's not as good as I would like it to be. And I think if I'm regularly filling things in with my handwriting digitally, it will surely improve. It can't get worse, she said, hopefully. You can really zoom in and perfect your handwriting. I also like the fact that it's in digital form, so even though this is on my iPad and I don't bring my iPad along with me as many places as I do my phone, I do have the Goodnotes app on my desktop, so I can also fill in which is traditional text on there. Most importantly, this makes it so that I don't feel guilty if I don't use this every week. It is a special kind of pain when you are not consistent with a dated planner that you physically have in front of you, because what else can you do with that planner? It just feels like it's really taking up space for no reason if you aren't using it. This gives me the freedom of, if I really feel like I want to use this week at a glance layout, I can. And if there's a week where I'm like, you know what, my Google Calendar is enough, I can do that too. I'm actually shocked though by how many different things there are on this planner. There's a mental health journal, a section for therapy notes if you do therapy. I think that's fantastic. Sleep trackers and meal planners, self-care fitness goals. Like, there's so many other pages too that I feel like I might play around with as well. It's really beautifully set up. Very handy, very cool, very excited about this exploration of Goodnotes, not just with this template, but I think just being more committed to exploring more templates in general within this app, because I just do really love my iPad as a tool, and I think Goodnotes is one of the more fun ways to play around with it. And there's so many great note-taking apps out there on my iPad that I wanna play around with more, not just Goodnotes. So stay tuned. If there's ones that you think I should try out, leave me your recommendations below. And the last real tech-focused planning system that I have is through my smart speakers. So I love to use my friend if I say her name, she'll start yapping. I also love using Siri on my phone when I'm out and about. And I use both these tools probably the most for setting reminders. Things as simple as take my vitamins, but it can also be as obscure as like add the hand towel that's in the bathroom to my laundry bin so I don't forget it, because I often forget to add my hand towel to the laundry bin until after the load's already going. It's a whole thing. Or, you know, clean your water bottle. That's something that I don't think some of us do nearly enough. So I just always have things going off, and I find that's the best place to add those reminders. Speakers are really effective because I get the audio cue, and then I also get the visual cue that appears on my phone. As for my non-tech planning tools, I've got two I'm really excited about, and they're new elements I'm playing around with. I guess the first one is slightly new. So these are the productivity planner cards. You may have remembered that earlier on last year, I did a video on the productivity planner, and now that it's been months since I've done that video, I stand by kind of like the general consensus of what I had reached at the end of that video, which was this is so effective for when you really need to hustle down and get work done. It's a tool that really helps you time chunk and stay like focused on the tasks that you need to get done. I just think it's a really cool guided to-do list. But I really like the productivity sheets specifically rather than the planner, because I don't need to use that system every single day. I just find it effective on particular working sessions when I just require a little bit more hand holding. So what's cool is this is kind of like the productivity sheets, but in card form. So it comes with this little stand, and on each card is a section for you to write the most important task of the day, the secondary tasks of importance, and then there's that section on the side there on the right that allows you to estimate in that target box how many 30-minute sessions you need to complete a task. So if you think the task is going to take 2 hours, then you would write down the number 4, because that's 4 30-minute sessions with breaks in between. There's a little section for a mood tracker, your rating for the day, a little quote at the top. I love a daily quote. You can put the date, and then you just stick this on your desk and you got it there visually right in front of you. So I think these are going to be really fun. Again, I'm going to use this in the same way that I use the sheets, and now when I really want to have a strong working session, this is what I'm going to do to help guide that. This was sent to me, so I appreciate Intelligent Change for sending this my way. It's been a while since I've had a physical planner. Since I stopped bullet journaling, I haven't had a physical planner, but I think the first one I'm gonna really experiment with is the Daily Grind Planner. Now, again, they had sent this to me last year sometime, and I never really got around to playing around with it. So this whole system like looks visually different now. I think they have a disc element rather than a spiral coil, because in the new system you're able to take out pages and add in pages, so that's really cool and flexible. But the inside, I believe, is pretty much identical. And the reason I'm really focused on this planner in particular is that this is really focused on helping you achieve your goals and keeping your goals on the forefront. One of the first pages is all about developing your 4-month vision. And one of the things that I'm trying to do this year is narrow my scope of focus to 12 weeks to quarterly chunks. So I feel like this is really well aligned for what my objective is for this year. In this 4-month vision page, there's a section for you to write down like, where am I today? What do I want to accomplish in these 4 months? How far do I want to go? How will I celebrate? I think celebrating is important. And then the idea is that every day you repeatedly write down what are your top 10 goals for this month. So you figure out like, what's my objective for the next 30 days? Will I have 10 goals every month? Maybe not. I think that might be a little bit too big, but I think like this can be like really small goals too. They don't have to be like these big goals. So you write down what those goals are every single day, and then next to it you write down your top 10 to-dos for the day. So any goal that you have for the month, like what is a small thing that you're gonna do for it today. At the bottom there's a spot for like the game plan and the top 3 movers today, the gratitude section. Will I use that as much? I don't think so, because I have other elements in my planning routine that I think are gonna kind of address those things. But I like this top section here. I think this is a really strong way to almost like start my planning day. I look at my calendar, I whip out my Daily Grind Planner, and I record what are those 10 goals I have for the month so that they stay at the forefront of my mind. I think we're all guilty of writing down a goal or creating a vision board and then not really looking at them again and addressing them often enough so that it's really ingrained in us that, hey, we're trying to work towards something right now. So I think that will be really powerful. I definitely love that they have these elements in it, because I think this would be really helpful if this is your one and only planner for the day, which if you're a normal person, you know, it's probably the case. Like I said, it was sent to me, but I've already known a lot about the Daily Grind Planner because my mom is such a big follower of not only the Daily Grind Planner system, but also the creator of it, Angie Bellemare. She has her own YouTube channel. Very cool woman. Like, if you want a new channel to check out, highly recommend giving her a go. I know there's a lot going on here. Like I said, I think certain things will be used daily, some things will be used occasionally. Some elements here don't need to be filled in every day, like my Goodnotes planner. So there's a lot of things that are going on, but I think they all work together really well. I know at least my Google Calendar and my Notion have been working really well together for a while. So I'm excited to just like play around and add in some new elements and really just kind of add a little resurgence to my planning routine. I think we all need a little zhuzh every now and then, and this is the way that I'm going to be doing that. If you want some follow-up videos on specific elements of what I'm using, let me know. Let me know in the comments below too. Like, what is your planning style? What's your planning routine? What are your favorite tools for planning? I'd love to dive into this topic more this year because I feel like we did not talk about it enough last year, which is a shame because this is the kind of stuff that I love talking about in my heart. Like, my type A heart, I just adore anything related to this category. So if you're interested in that, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and I will see you all very soon with the new one. Until then, bye guys.